Hello everyone. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm a little bit late, but unfortunately I had some things to do, so why I'm little. That's the reason I'm a little bit late comparing to what I actually promised. But I think still everyone will have time. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna install the I will install the pfSense firewall. And as I promised, I will send you afterwards an OVA, and I will show you another video how to actually use the OVA within the VirtualBox and how to do it. But I'm gonna install the firewall. So if someone of you guys wants to install it by itself, by himself or herself, well, it will be much easier. So what you need to do is going to the site, looking for download of pfSense will be kind of easy to find out where it is. It's a community edition. Here it is. It's always good idea when you do firewalling, to have obviously the latest patched software. So don't use older one. Use the latest one. So you could choose what is the closest to you here, and it's by default it's finding it out. And as well as I'm gonna choose here the AMD. Now the installer obviously will be the ISO, DVD ISO, and I'm gonna say download. So basically it will go and download the ISO image. It will take less than a minute. Now meanwhile I will open my VirtualBox to show you what I have here. Now in this group, which I call sources, what I'm installing computers, and that's a good practice if you're using VirtualBox actually. To have this type of machines, you install them, you test them, you do a lot of let's say snapshots here. Well, that's not the good choice, but I guess some of these they have snapshots. You explain what the snapshot has inside, right? And eventually afterwards you just clone this. You don't work anymore with this. You update them regularly and so on and so forth, but actually you just clone them and use them afterwards. So basically that's what's going on here. The Ubuntu client and Ubuntu server, they're ready. I'm still using them, but actually I might go and I might clone them the next step and use them as such. So that's why I'm creating this sources thing, and I'm gonna put the pfSense as well here. So it's already downloaded, and what I'll do, if you mention, it's actually GZ file, which is the gzip file. Which means it is still, the ISO image is still, archived, so you need to, and compressed as well, so you need to use something like 7-zip to open the GZ archive and actually to extract the ISO image out of there. So here it is. And then you don't need any more, I guess, you won't need any more the original GZ, and you might actually get rid of it. And I could close all of this. So now I could say new. That's the VirtualBox 7. So it looks a little bit different than the others, but it's there is no problem with that. So I'm gonna say pfSense here. You could call it whatever you want. The ISO image, of course, I'm gonna choose the one which I have. I'll click here on the other, and I will find it out. pfSense, that's the one which I'm using. It's in my downloads folder, in the images subfolder. Say open. I'm not. What I'm gonna do next, actually, it's asking me what's the type of operating system, and it's BSD. Here it is. And it's indeed OpenBSD 64-bit edition. If you use FreeBSD, I think it will work as well, but be sure it's a 64. Now, when you open here, if you don't see 64, you see only 32. That means you need to reboot your laptop or computer. Go to your BIOS. Or UEFI, whatever you're using, and basically afterwards you need to allow the virtualization. It's not allowed within the processor there. So that's what you need to do. Most of the computers today, they support it, so it won't be just started. So you need to go and start it. Now, once that's done, I will say next. Now 1024, it's okay. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Just initially. Afterwards, I could decrease. The one CPU is more than enough. I'm not gonna start EFI. Say next. 16 gigabyte of hard drives is more than needed. You don't need pre-allocated. Use it dynamically, which means it will grow up whenever it needs to. So I'm not gonna use additional virtual disk, and I'm almost done. I'll say finish. It will appear here. As a matter of fact, I'll put it here on the top. I'm not sure if it's the yeah, let me just move it outside. It doesn't. I'm gonna put it here just above this one. Windows 10, I just want to be here too. So in the groups you could use them like that. The groups, as you see, they grouping virtual machine. You might see the previews for all of them. You might close the groups and actually clear some space here. So they're very nice. If you would like to create a group, right click and do make a new group. If you want to use already a name, so to add it to some group, you might do this, or if not, you could create new and create the name. So I will show it to you a little bit further if we need to. Just to double check, is it well, not this one. We need to check the pfSense. It doesn't look to me the proper yeah, the type is BSD, OpenBSD. That's good. Or FreeBSD. Let's try FreeBSD. Okay. So I'm almost done. I'm gonna go settings. Well, in the settings, the most important part will be the networking, and we're gonna spend a little bit time. I'm gonna explain you why and what I'm doing. Now, in general, in advanced tab, we're not gonna use this here. We're not gonna enable anything of this. If you remember the last time I showed you that, but apparently you don't need to do that because it has no graphical interface, so it won't apply that. Now, on the system, we already did part of it. Floppy, I don't need. I'm just gonna move it. Mouse doesn't work, but it's a good idea always when you do it, and check if it's on the USB tablet. PS2 mouse doesn't work actually lately with VirtualBox. You don't need to go further with the graphical interface. Again, you don't have graphical interface. If there is some problem with it, it will be shown here as an error message, so you could fix it. This is my ISO image, and in the networking, and of course in the shared folder, I'm not gonna add access to my remote desktop because again I don't have graphical interface. So on the network, I'm gonna choose 3 adapters. So I'm gonna have an adapter which will point for my wide area network. I will have one which will be pointing to my local area network, and I'm gonna have eventually one which will pointing to my DMZ, to my demilitarized zone. But I could choose 4 if I want to. As a matter of fact, VirtualBox supports up to 8, but from adapter 5 to number 8, you need to use from the command line to you know, configure them. Otherwise, by default, you see 4 of them. So I'm gonna come here in the first one, which will be my wide area network. So it will be it will go and face my network, physical network where I am at the moment. So it will get an IP address from the router and so on and so forth. So my local area network and and this place will be actually the wide area network for this interface. And I'm gonna choose bridge adapter. That means it will get exactly same IP address like my real network. So I don't need to separate with NAT. If I use NAT or NAT network, I'm gonna need afterwards to do double NATing, which, you know, there is no need. We're gonna have a firewall, so we might work with the firewall itself. And the other thing, if you would like to change for any reason the MAC address, the spoofing is from here. When you click, it will change the MAC address. And if you're gonna want to change some adapter types, you have a lot of them. If you have some preferences, most of the time I'm using the you know, default one. The promiscuous mode is if you would like to, you know, you need to change to accept if you would like to sniff on your network. So that's not the case in my case. Now, the adapter 2 will be my local area network, or LAN, and there are a couple of choices. Host-only adapter is very nice to work with because it's giving you direct access internally, But that's not what we would like to do. I don't want to be able from my real computer to access directly within my firewall. No, non-firewall does this, so you need to do some rules and stuff like that, so to get inside. And most of the time local area network, you don't have any, and you're not supposed to have any access from outside. So basically in that case I'm gonna skip this one. Otherwise, if you would like to test something very fast, let's say through a web interface or through SSH or some other protocols for RDP and wherever, you might use this one for a fast one. NAT network it will have a NAT, and any adapter you're gonna create will have from the same default IP address of 10.0.2.0. That will be the network which will be chosen with 24-sider. If you could change this, of course, you might put another private IP address there. Only NAT address, it's very limited for use. There are some cases you could use it, but it will provide you every time you create a machine. Every time it will provide you with the same IP address of 10.0.2.15 by default. So that's how you could recognize actually somebody is using this NAT address, which means if you have two machines, even though you're gonna go and change the IP address of one of them or both of them, they will still be having 10.0.2.15, and there will be no problem. There will be a lot of problems there to communicate to each other. So it has a very limited usage, this type of adapters. The NAT network, once again, we're not going to use because we don't want to have double NATing. The generic driver is something which we might use eventually. For the generic driver we might use if we implement our virtual machine within the GNS3. It will change to generic driver, so in that case it doesn't apply. Not attached, there is no sense at all for that case. Cloud network, as you see, experimental. If you have subscription for Oracle's cloud, you might actually access virtual machines there from this virtual machine and the cloud itself. And basically what left here, the bridge adapter, of course, it mimics it's bridged directly to your real network, and we're going to use it for the one. So what left is the internal network. Excuse me. By default is the one which I have already installed. The default one actually is intnet. It's called intnet. I created one LAN, and I'm gonna create one DMZ, and I'm gonna show you actually how you create this. These are switches you're creating, kind of virtual switches, and wherever you would like to have a machine which is interacting with this switch, well, you put it in the same adapter with the same name. So if I would like to have DMZ, I'm just gonna mark this Unix here, and I'm gonna say DMZ, and I'm gonna click OK. And then I'm gonna go to the pfSense, I'm gonna go to the settings again, and basically if I go to the network and go to the second adapter, it will be DMZ, and if I click here now, I'm gonna have the DMZ listed. Now of course I want LAN here on my second adapter. I just showed it to you how to work with, and again in the advanced you might do whatever I showed. And here I'm gonna use now the DMZ, again internal network, and I'm gonna choose now the DMZ. Here it is. So as you see, my adapter my one adapter will be directly connected. That will be the outside, directly connecting with my working network there, my physical network. The adapter 2, which will be my LAN, will be having internal network as well as internal network. DMZ will be. So these are, even though they're from the internal, they use the internal network adapter VirtualBox, because they have different names, they will be acting as a different switches here. So basically that's all for the configuration of our pfSense. So now we could go and we could install it. Installation is pretty straightforward. You start. Once again, that's the latest version of VirtualBox 7, so it's a little bit of different if you're using 6. But it's very, very, very logical. If you use it before, you will see a lot of resemblance. So here it is, it's starting. So what it does now, it's actually the first stage will be to unpack the, open the ISO file. As you know, ISO files are simple their simple archive actually, and basically afterwards you will be able to upload it, install it over your hard drive, which at the moment is free. And after the reboot, basically you're gonna start with the setup on the hard drive. So what we need to do here is to accept the copyright and distribution notice from the company which is producing it, and we will install it. Obviously we need to install, but as you see there is a way also to recover and to rescue use the rescue shell, but I'm gonna use the first option. If you would like to navigate down, once you click here on the top, you go and navigate with the arrows up and down, or the tab or shift tab to go back. And if there are checkboxes and you would like to use it, you use the space, or if you would like to uncheck it, again space. So in my case I'm gonna click OK here. I'm gonna select, so that would be the key map what will be used for my keyboard, and then it's asking me what do you wanna what kind of operating system do you want to use. Well, the first one is ZFS. I'm gonna go to UFS and I'm gonna choose the BIOS. Okay, I'm gonna choose the BIOS. If I want to use actually UEFI, which is possible, if you remember, here we skipped it. If we go here to the system and processor, I haven't chosen it was here actually. Here it is, EFI. I haven't chosen EFI. That's why I'm not gonna be able to work with it, right? I need to choose it first. So I'm gonna say BIOS here. I'll click OK, and that will be the installation actually. That's it will be downloaded and just copied to my hard drive, which once again is empty at the moment. Okay, so we're gonna wait just a couple of minutes until it finishes, and then of course we will reboot and we'll finish the installation, and I'll show you the initial wizard. So here it is, the installation is now finished. What's asking you, do you want to open the shell and do some additional thing? I'll say no on that, and I'm gonna click reboot. Now sometimes it's a good idea, once you rebooted it basically and you see it started back like now at the moment, it's a good idea to click here on the cross and do power off the machine and power it off completely. It's a hard shutdown, but it's virtual machine, no problem for that. Go to the settings and be sure when you go to CD, wherever it says storage here, well, you see some of the distributions they remove automatically. Ubuntu, Debian, they do this, they remove the CD, but this one doesn't. So what you need to do is click here, then go on the right side wherever it's appearing as an attributes, and click on this small CD and remove the disk from the virtual disk. So you don't want, because if you start again, because here I have in the system I have my first bootable drive optical, it will start again from it, and it will be a vicious circle. I'm gonna just install it again and again and again and again, and I never will actually start the real installation from the disk. So that's what I want to do, right? I would like now to install it over the disk. Very briefly, I'm gonna check my network adapter just in case, to be sure everything is okay, everything is fine. Say okay, and I'm gonna start it. Now, specifically with the pfSense, sometimes actually I had trouble, even though I removed it as I just showed you. Sometimes it's still starting from the ISO image. It appears again. I don't know, it's a bug or something. So just do preferences again. Well, go to the machine here while it's booting, settings, and be sure that you really remove the storage. Yeah, there is no storage. That's good. So what it does at the moment is booting from the files which we downloaded from ISO image, which are now on my hard drive. So basically, it does the installation. So a couple of times it will ask you some question, and if you don't reply in a couple of seconds, it will go ahead. So I would suggest you just wait until it's finished. It's very fast process. While I'm actually talking, it will finish, and then I will show you how exactly to finish the setup of the firewall and how to install. And as I mentioned, a couple of seconds after when I stopped talking, here it is. It is installed. That's how it looks when it is kind of initially set up. Now you see, what it does, it shows, and that's what is configured automatically. It find out that's the one interface, and that's the name of the interface itself, the hardware name. You see, the name are a little bit different than you expect, like in Linux, because it's Unix, it's not Linux, right? And as you see, it has a version 4 of IP address received by DHCP, and that's the IP address, right, what I have, and that's the IP address of my network where I am at the moment. So it's hooked now to my physical network, and that's my one. Now my local area network, it provides me with IP address, which is okay with me. But if I would like to change it, I could go and do some changes here. So if I click one, which is for the assigning interfaces, I could see actually which interface I have. Here there are, and if I'm not sure which one is which one, well, for sure I could go machine settings, go a little bit below, move this a little bit below, navigate to network, do advanced, and now I'm on the adapter 3, and I see the MAC address here, which is finishing on A77E, and that's the one which is says down here at the moment. If I go to adapter 2, I'm gonna see it's finishing on F88D. If I see, here it is, that's the one which is that's my EM1. If you remember, that was my LAN interface. So actually everything is as it's supposed to be. Here my one interface, which is the EM0, it's finishing on 6D23. Here it is. So that's the way you might check which interface is which. It's always good idea now when you do it on a physical appliance, because this thing, you might have a physical computer you don't use anymore. You don't need actually this computer to be even very strong if you're going to use it for home or a small business, a kind of Soho business. You might just put several network cards inside. I've been using it actually with because I didn't have too much slots. I have a small factor computer which actually has limited slots there for the networking. So actually I bought a networking card with more than one NICs on it. So it was 3 NICs on the card. So I was using it like that even. So it's possible now, but it's good idea. It's a very good idea. You need to know which one is on these cards has which MAC address. Here in VirtualBox very easy, but in the real life sometimes you need to open a couple of times the computer and see it again and again and again. So be sure before you start, that's why I'm saying this, be sure before you start you're gonna check well which adapter has which MAC address, right? So that's have a schema or kind of a record of this, because you to know what to use after that. So that's kind of practical example which I had problems with before. This is how we do, and it's asking you to create VLANs. Now I'm gonna click Ctrl+C to stop the process. I don't want to do it, but if I choose one of the numbers, I could go and actually change. I could change which adapter to hook to which MAC address and so on and so forth. Now the other one is to set the interface's IP addresses. So if I click I'll click here, and you might actually go one and change, instead of DHCP you might do static address. You might go to the LAN and change the static IP address. I'm gonna do actually 2, and here it is. It's asking me, and I'm gonna enter the same IP address, 192.168.1.1. Then it will ask me for the subnet mask. I'll choose 24. Now it's asking you if that's that's the one you need to do something, because that's not the one we're gonna choose. Actually the second option, which is to press enter for none. Now they're asking, do you want an IPv6 address? I don't want to, so I'm gonna click enter for none. And do you want to enable the DHCP server on the LAN? Yes, I want to have a DHCP server. I want some of my some of my hosts, they to be accessible, they to get an IP address, and this router, which it's very nice. So I'm gonna do Y. It's a nice option. So I'm click Y, and now I need to put the pool, so the range. So I'm gonna say 192.168.1.200. It's a LAP environment, so obviously 168.1.250, let's say, something like that. Oops, you see here there is an error, so you need to delete all of this, and maybe actually you need to say Control-C, and I'm gonna do it again. So again, this one, 192.168.1.1, 24, enter, IPv6 no, yes, we said 192.168.1.200 and 192.168.1, oops, .1.250, and I'll click enter. Now, what is asking you, do you want to revert the HTTP as the web configurator protocol? Now, what we do at the moment is just initial configuration, and most of the time you don't need to do it even. You could use directly the default 192.168.1.1. What we're going to use after will be from the local area network. We will be opening Windows computer, and we will be working, or Linux computer, and we will be working on from the web interface. Now it's asking you, by default it's HTTPS, and it's asking you, do you want to use HTTP instead? And we don't want this. We want to be, you know, we don't know who is sniffing on our network. Obviously, HTTP, as you know, is showing everything in clear text, so obviously we don't need this. So I'm gonna say no on that and click enter. And basically now what it does, it's setting up, and it shows me that's the address, and that's the way you could access your web interface. That's what it says. I'll say enter to continue, and I'm actually done. I'm done with that. Now if we go and check the other options, you might reset the web configurator password. So on the web interface you have by default admin as a user, and pfSense small letters as a password, and that's what they ask you. If you forget your password, you might reset actually the password to the standard one, and afterwards go. If you really screw it, actually you might go on number 4 and reset to the factory defaults. If you want to reboot the system, 5, 6 to stop it. If you would like to ping, if you would like to open shell, keep in mind it's a Unix, right? So the commands are a little bit different. Number 9, pftop. You might actually see logs of your firewall, so it's not necessarily actually to open, and that's a technician could have access and check here what's going on. You could restart the web configurator or the web interface. You have also access to PHP shell and pfSense tools. That's actually you accessing to a PHP shell, because some of the tools you might use from the command line, and that's really useful and happened several times to me when I was working with some firewalls for some clients. There is no access anymore to the graphical interface. You have not so many options, and you don't want to remove everything and install it again. Although you might do it, you're gonna see there is a way you to get to backup and afterwards import, but sometimes it's very useful to use the PHP shell for some troubleshooting over the shell itself. You might do updates here also from the console. You could enable SSHD as you see, and you could restore the configuration, right? So so basically that's very useful, but you need to create a backup obviously. And basically you could restart also the PHP shell there. So what I need to do now is I'm gonna minimize this guy. It's kind of ready, not yet ready. And basically I'm gonna come here to my Windows 10 computer, and as I mentioned, I don't wanna use this computer, which is it's kind of installed. If I go to the snapshot, well, it's not, but I'm gonna create a snapshot. So to know that is, and the snapshots are very good. If something happen, actually, I just gonna go to the snapshot here. If something happen in my computer, I cannot use it anymore, I'll say restore, and I'm gonna revert to the state which was, let's say, today, right? And basically you do this when you do some particular specific thing, and well, I don't have any real snapshots created here. Maybe let me show you on my physical computer. Maybe let me just show you here so you to get a little bit, people who never did this, to have a little bit of you know, to know what it is about. I think this one has some snapshots. Let me go and check it. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, I need to go to the sources actually. So here it is, CentOS 7. Yeah, here it is. There are a couple of snapshots. Here, this one says that I created the the command line interface only. I installed it as a command line. It's using the NAT network. I put it the update and upgrades. I did them, and I stopped firewall D, IP tables, and libvirtd. That's the daemon for KVM, for the kernel virtual machine, which is the virtualization natively working with Linux. On the snapshot 2, so I created a snapshot afterwards. So on snapshot 2, as you see, I installed some VIP software, I call it, something which is very important. I installed the Docker Community Edition with Docker Compose. Also, I applied the graphical interface. Then Guest Edition, it's very important to have it, so to be able to use advanced networking tools, accessing things from your physical computer, vice versa, open on a full screen, and so on and so forth. And also, I added some VirtualBox GUI settings, whatever that means. On the snapshot 3, I installed Apache, and I actually created a simple website. And on snapshot 4, snapshot 4, actually I fixed something which wasn't working well before. Now, if I want to install, you see, this snapshot 1, I don't have a patch here, but I could add a patch. So actually, temporarily, I could restore this snapshot, and when I start the computer, I will start from this one, so without graphical interface. Then I could install a patch there. I could create a snapshot, and it will appear here a little bit inside. Understand? So basically, it will be kind of removed in the middle, so it won't be directly connected to snapshot 2. It will be kind of snapshot 1.1. And I could go further. I could go actually afterwards and eventually again restore snapshot 1, and then on snapshot 1 now still won't be it will be on snapshot 1.1, right, to my Apache server. So then I could install, let's say, Nginx. So I could have 2 snapshots which will be with 2 different web servers inside, and I might practice with them. So the other one will appear as a snapshot 1.2, let's say, a little bit here in the middle. And afterwards, if I want to go and work with a specific snapshot, I just gonna right click on it and I'm gonna clone the specific snapshot which has a specific functions, and me to remember that I put them in here in the attributes. It's very, very useful thing. So that's what I'm saying. Once I'm sure the snapshot is in perfect condition, and I put all of this in my sources subfolder, and as you see, actually I'm using here some subgroups even, you see, and you might create as many as you want. You might do it this way as well. So if I close this, if I close this, and if I close this, you see on that one I will see basically everything what's related to that. So basically, you see when I click here on Linux, I will see the three of them. Here it is, the 3 preview I'm gonna see. So once I'm done with this, I don't use them anymore. I just clone them, and here these are the cloning actually, right? So we'll do this with the firewall itself. So I wanted just to show it to you to have the idea, as I said. So the pfSense now we set is in good state, but it's still not in the state I want to have a snapshot. I might create a snapshot in any case. I could click here. I don't need even to stop at it, right? Snapshots, it's not necessarily. If you need to do cloning, you see it's not accessible, the clone. You need to stop it. But the snapshot, I'm going to say take, and I'm going to say here, interfaces will be, that would be the breached. Then I'm going to put internal LAN, and then I'm going to put internal DMZ, right? That's the interfaces, and I'm gonna say that I have I could say initial initial command line interface setup or something like that. You know, you could say whatever you want, so to know what you've done here, right? And you might actually put here an IP address, so to know what IP address you need to access, and some whatever information it will be nice for you. So getting back there now, I'm gonna create a snapshot of this guy. I'm gonna actually clone it, and I'm gonna leave this as Windows 10 clone. I'm gonna change the MAC address just in case, and I'm gonna say next. I'm gonna use a full clone, and then current machine state, and I'm gonna say finish. It will take a little bit more of time. As you saw, there are full clones and clones which are not full, and basically the latter one are kind of snapshots as well, and I don't use them too much. But a very huge advantage of them actually is that because they're kind of snapshot, they reuse the space from the other one. So actually, you have a kind of space, more space available. But not the case at this point. So I'm gonna move this out of my sources here, and I'm gonna just go to the settings. It's supposed to be in the same network, and I'm gonna check here bidirectional. Oh, that's good. To have access system 4 GB, that's fine. I'm gonna check my processor. Processor is enabled. Well, if I want to try Hyper-V, actually I might need to start the enable. I'm not gonna do this, but that's one of the ways. Here, when you have graphical, it's supposed to be here at the end. Storage, that's fine. Network. So to be able to access it, it's already on this. It's on the internal network, and it's on the LAN. If I choose DMZ, it will be hooked to my DMZ, right? I need to choose the LAN, so to be on the LAN, so to be able to access to this one. And shared folders, I shared my downloads folder. You might share here as many folders as you wish. And I'm gonna say okay on that, and I will start the cloning. So you see, I don't use a computer which is in a good state. I just use its cloning. So if something happen, 10 seconds and I have everything back. That's very, very useful. So here it is. My Windows 10 starts, and I'm gonna use only wherever I have as a browser inside, mostly Chrome. If I don't have Chrome, I will install it obviously, and I will access the web interface, so to finish the settings of my firewall. So here it is. I could click here input, say keyboard, and I'll choose this. The host key is this one here, right control. You see, this is on the right down corner. So basically that's what I need to do if I want to use the keyboard. So I'm gonna say insert control or delete. That's my user. I hope I remember the password. Hope so. I'll use the password, and I'm gonna log in, right? So I will log in here. While I'm logging, I might actually check. I might check what's going on with my computer. Yeah, it's still logging, so I'm gonna wait a little bit, and I'm gonna check my physical computer, and so let me check what's going on. I'm gonna say stop here, so to be sure that it is in a good state. Okay, so I'm done with that, and what I'll do next here is I'm gonna go and open one of the browsers. The one which I see here is the Edge. Doesn't really matter. Now notice that there is no internet, right? So let me open network and internet settings also. I'm gonna go to Ethernet here. I'll say change adapter options, right? And I'm gonna click twice to see what's going on here. See on the details. Yeah, it's getting IP address, as you see. Well, you know, it's supposed to be 200, and that's 110. which for me means most probably it is statically assigned. So let me double check. I'm gonna uncheck IP version 6 from here. I don't need it. Yeah, you see it statically. So I'm gonna say obtain automatically in the DNS as well. So I'm gonna say okay. If you don't say anything there, the DNS will be the one which is assigned to the interface of the firewall. So what I'll do very fast here, I'm gonna disable for a second and enable back. That's a really hard hard way, but it will work most probably. It's finding out the network, as you see. And actually you see now I have an internet, so that's the firewall provides me right away out of the box on my LAN interface. All the other interfaces are completely down. So basically, well, they're not down, but you know, you need to do some work so to allow access and other. So here it is. It has an internet. I'm not interested of that though. I'm gonna say 192.168, and notice I'm gonna use HTTP, right? HTTP 192.168.1.1.1. Right, I'll click on this thing. Here it is. Now you see it's automatically sending to HTTPS, reverting to that protocol. And actually, because it's a self-sustained certificate, it's self-produced, that's why it's giving me this order. I don't care about this. I know it's okay, and I'm gonna continue. As we said, username is admin and password is pfSense. I'm gonna write it here like that. That's the password with small letters, so you just need to put it. That's the default one. You need to change it afterwards. I'm gonna say sign in. Now OpenSense, as you know, it's like pfSense. It's fork of pfSense. So basically it looks similarly. It's also using similar techniques. There you have admins with OpenSense, actually the password and so on and so forth. So it's good idea to go through the initial wizard, and actually we click here on this next button, click again. Hostname you could use wherever you want. I'm gonna call this firewall, and I could actually use a domain. I'm gonna use hostnet.local, something which I'm using in my work all the time. So you could use wherever. You could leave it without. Now if you don't choose anything, it says here, if you don't choose anything, it will choose the default one which is already there. There is a server which is DNS server which is working, resolver which is working there. So basically if you don't choose anything, it will go. Now it says that to allow DNS to be overridden by the DHCP from the one. I don't want this. I don't want anyone to override my DNS. I want to have my own DNS, so I'm gonna stop it, right? This one. But if you want, you might leave it, of course. That's the time server hostname. It will take it. You might choose the better and appropriate zone. I might go here, Canada. I see. So here it is. I'm gonna choose something as we said in Canada, most probably. I'm gonna choose the Eastern. I guess this is the one. I'll say next on that. Now that's my one interface. You see it says configure one interface, DHCP. I'm not gonna touch anything here. If you don't choose anything, it is the default one. Now something very important which we need to touch here at the bottom: block private network from entering via one, and block non-internet routed networks from entering via one. Well, in a normal case, if you use it in a, you add your modem, you put your ISP's modem, you jailbreak it and you put it in breach mode, or if you don't want to jailbreak it, you call your provider and you say, I'm going to use my own firewall, I want a breach mode, and they tell you how to do it. Afterwards, this is supposed to be checked, because you don't want the guys from internet service provider to get inside your network, obviously. But in our case, since we are our one is on a private network, well, we need to uncheck both of these, otherwise it won't work, right? So that's kind of case we need to stick to. So I'm gonna say next. Subnet mask here, that's for my LAN. That's what I've chosen. If you want to change it, you might go and change it here. And of course I'm gonna change my password. I'm gonna choose again something which is really unsecure, but for me it's working, no problem. That's a lap. Gonna say reload, and now once it's reloaded, actually it will ask me to log in with the new password. Here it is. I'm gonna say finish. It's a good idea always to check for updates. There are some minor updates, and here it is. I'm gonna say accept here. I'm gonna say close, and this is the dashboard. Well, this is promotion of the company which produces it, which is the Netgate. So I'm gonna close this. I don't care about this, and it will show me what I have on my WAN and what I have on my local area network on my interfaces of the firewall. And you could go and check here some of the additional thing. And if there are no new firewalls, actually you might there are new firewall software here. You might go and update it afterwards. Even though it says at the moment cannot check for updates, you might always go to the system and do update. As well as there are user manager, you might download additional software here. There are a lot of, well, package manager actually. And if you would like to create backup, you could do it here. Now that would be something in the next stage. What I want to do is now to finish with this guy, the installation and setup, and then create a snapshot of it. I'm gonna create a snapshot of it. I'm gonna create a password so you guys to everyone to be able to use this password. Alright, so I'm gonna publish it when I send you the virtual appliance. And basically then to create the virtual appliance, I'm gonna show it to you how to do it. And I will show it to you how to integrate it afterwards when you receive it. So let's do it. I'm gonna go and check the password again. Actually, I'm gonna go and change the password. I could come here and go to general. I could do the wizard again. But I could find out where to change the password actually. I'm gonna go to the user management here on the system. User management, and that's what I have as a user at the moment. So when I click on the actions here, most probably I will be able to change the password somewhere here. Yeah, here it is, the password. And I'm gonna create the new one, so I will tell you afterwards what will be the password there. So so I'm gonna open it now so you guys to see it. That's the password. So ABC123 and 3 dots. That would be the password for admin. When you start, that will be on the appliance, VirtualBox appliance, which I will create for you. If you would like to create it from the scratch, well, you're gonna follow the video and you're gonna create your own password. So I'll say save. And just to test it, I'll click here on the right, and I'm gonna use admin. And I'm gonna put my new password. So ABC123 and 3 dots. Say sign in. And I'm there. Right now we need to finish the interface. You see I have only 2 interfaces, so I'm gonna go assignments here, and you see there is a third one which is not assigned, so I'm gonna just click on add. By the way, if I want to add VLANs to some of these interfaces, obviously LAN or OPT1, which I'm gonna change the name now, I could choose VLANs, and there are some other choices which obviously we don't have too much time. When I click on the interface, I could actually enable the interface, so to be there, and I'm gonna say DMZ. I'm gonna go and this one, be sure is unchecked. Right, and you need to apply the changes so to take effect. It's done. Setting up the IP address obviously in on a separate place, which I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna go back to interface. I'm gonna check on the LAN interface if everything is fine. Yeah, it's enabled, IP version 4, all of this beautiful thing. Well, you see it's a static, it has an IP address. So basically I need to finish this one here too on the DMZ. I need to say here I need to say IP version for static IP, and I need to choose it here. That will appear, and I need to say 192.168.2.1. Be sure you're gonna change the subnet mask to something appropriate, right? You don't need to add a gateway, you don't need to do anything anymore, so that's all. That would be on the interface, and you say save, and it will be there, and you say apply changes. And if you click here on the where it says pfSense, just wait until the changes are applied. So click on pfSense, and you're gonna see the third interface is also there, right? And the last thing what I need to do, let me just check for LAN again. No, okay, IP version 6, no, awesome. Here is 24, and these are unchecked. Oh, awesome. And then the last thing what we will do before we, well, the last couple of things we will do, we'll go to services, choose DHCP server. Remember, we enable it on the LAN interface. And you see the range, though it's a little bit awkward. I chosen something else, so I'm gonna repeat it again. I don't know what, but it's happening all the time. Now I don't need to choose DNS server; it will choose default one here, which is 192.168.1.1. DHCP will be having the same IP address, so on and so forth. So actually, I don't need to do anything here anymore. I could just say save, and it will be saved. And I'm gonna go services, and of course I'm gonna enable the other one here. Well, as soon as I have my local DHCP server, let's say on a Windows computer, on a Linux machine, well, I could come and stop this one, so to avoid DHCP poisoning. And I could choose the range here again, 192.168.2.200 to 192.168.2.250, and then I'm gonna go a little bit down. Gateway again, it will be 192.168.2.1, as well as, that's by default, as well as the DNS server. So I'm gonna say save. If I want to change it, of course there are a lot of options there, but that's the default thing. So I'm gonna say save, as we mentioned, and it will be done. Now I said a couple of last things because I would like to be sure I'm gonna update it. Yeah, so I'll just be sure. I would like to be sure it is with the latest update. Yeah, it's up to date. So basically, I'm kind of done. I don't need to do anything. There is another video in the there is another video in the YouTube channel, which you could see how to create rules if you want to. If you want to go a little bit further, actually, for firewall. Yeah, I think that's all. I'm gonna shut down this one now. So I will come here to the it's in the status. You might check the status and diagnostics eventually. There are a lot of things which you could do here. And actually in diagnostic you have the health system. It's and reboot is also here. By the way, if you would like to create a backup, it should be here. It is backup, and restore is also here. So that's how you create a backup. You just choose whatever you need to choose. You know, if you want SSH keys, encrypt this configuration file with a password if you want to, could backup extra data, and so on and so forth. So basically, you download as an XML file, and well, it doesn't like it in a way, so I need to say keep it. And if I open the file, I'm gonna open it with, let's say, Notepad. Well, I could open it with browser as well, but Notepad's fine. And that's the file. And basically, I might go and check where it is. It should be most probably on the downloads folder, or I could save it there as well additionally. And this file, if I need to restore something, that's what I'm gonna do. So again, I'll close this guy here. Well, actually, I'm not gonna close it. I'm gonna go to diagnostics, and I'm gonna say halt. Here it is, halt the system, and I'm gonna say halt, and I will confirm, and my firewall will be kind of shut it down. So I'm gonna close this thing, and I'll see my firewall shutting down after that. And here it is. It's almost done. I'm gonna need to wait until it's shut it down. Well, it's not necessary actually to wait. I could click here and I could say snapshots, and then I'm gonna create my second snapshot, and now I'm gonna say finalized three NICs setup, initial setup, because obviously you might do much more thing. Updated plus backup, and that's all what we've done. I say okay, I'm done with this, and then I could actually, I don't need to choose a specific if I don't choose a specific snapshot, it will ask me which one to create clone of it. So here it is, that would be the one. I'm gonna change, it will generate new MAC address on all of my interfaces. I'm gonna call this one firewall. And basically I could use this one after this. I could choose expert mode actually. Here I'm gonna choose full clone. Everything, that means it will put the snapshots as well. I don't want to. I'm gonna just current, which is the latest one, and I could say finish, and it will be very fast because, as a matter of fact, is very tiny image, even though it's a full image. So I'm gonna put it here at the bottom somewhere. Here it is, and basically I will create now for you guys. I will create now the Now let's see how to create this. If you want to create your own, I will show it to you. It's very fast. So you go to the to the machine, virtual machine you would like to create an appliance from, and you create appliance file, and then you go export appliance. Now what the appliance is, well, instead of going and installing all of this, I provided you with the password. Basically I will create a kind of archive file. It will have a specific format for VirtualBox .ova. Okay, so afterwards what you need to do, I'll show it to you afterwards how to actually unzip back this and to reuse it. And that's the reason for it. It will be very easy for you guys to reuse this one after that. So here it is. I'm gonna click on that one. I'll say file. I'll say export appliance. And of course afterwards, if you would like to start the appliance, you need to import it back, right? So there was an import there. Let me just click here to show you again. So when you have the appliance, you could import it inside and use it, right? So that's the thing. So I'm gonna say file. I'll say export appliance, and again I'll choose it here from the list. It's already chosen, the pfSense. I'll say next. Now you need to choose the latest format here, which is the 2.0. You need to say where it will be. For me it's easy to see it on the desktop, so I'm gonna put it on the desktop. You might choose the name. I'm gonna call it pfSense OVA. That's good, and I'm gonna say save, so it will be saved as pfSense OVA on my desktop. I might include new network adapters. I'm gonna leave it like that. There is no problem. Write manifest file, it's fine. You just say next. You might click here and change whatever you want to at the moment, but you might change it after it. So you see, if I click here twice, I might change the name. If I click here, I might change another type of OS, and so on and so forth. I might uncheck some of this. So far, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna wait. I could do it after that, once I import it as a virtual machine, and here it is. I'm gonna wait a little bit, and once it's finishes, which will be pretty fast. Once again, it's very small. It's a very tiny piece of software there. So once it's done, basically we could use it. Now while we're waiting, let's create a share folder, and let's share this folder with you. So let me go and navigate to the school's. So I'm gonna go and try to Office 365. and I'm gonna log into the school. That's a different login, so what I need to do here is just to sign out, and then I will sign back in. So here it is, I'm logged in now. So what you need to do is click here on this kind of menu and open OneDrive. So it will open your OneDrive. If you would like to share, like me, I would like to share something with you. So on OneDrive you have 1 terabyte by default of space, so it's pretty large. I'll say new folder, and I will call this to share, because I want to share it, obviously. And then once it's created, I'll right click on it and I will say share. Right now, what I want is everyone to be able to, not only to, well, I want everyone to view actually only, and I'm gonna put a password, and you know the password now, ABC 1 2 3 and 3 dots. Okay, that's the password, exactly the same. I don't want to block the downloads, obviously, but if you want, you could block the download. And I could say anyone with the link. I could choose people from Champlain, but I need to be sure that everyone will access it as such. So it's a little bit more, limiting. So I'm gonna choose anyone with the link will be able to view and actually to download the thing with this password again. ABC 1 2 3 3 dots. Again, the same password. And I will say apply. Now what I'll do, I will actually copy the link here. I'll open here, I have already a text file, and I will copy the link. So it is here, it says copy. Right, I'll click on this, I'll copy this link, and I'll open this file. So I'll say edit with Notepad++, let's say, and I'll come here somewhere, and I'll paste the link, so to use it afterwards, I will share it with you. I'll send this one on Omnivox, and clicking on these links, actually it's sometimes it doesn't open properly the sites, and I'm gonna put actually the password here as well, so just in case you guys to have it. So it will say password, and it will be ABC 1 2 3 3 dots. Now this thing, once again, better right click on the link, copy it. There will be a choice to copy it when you open it from your browser there. Just copy the link and then open the browser you want to use, a separate tab on it, right click inside and paste, and go and paste and go, right, and it will open it. If you click, sometimes it won't open. Okay, so that's done. I'm already okay with all of this, and basically I will send it to everyone. And as I see now, my pfSense OVA is also there. So let's do it now. So what I'll do here, I'll open to share folder, and I'm gonna just drag and drop the pfSense, right, and the pfSense will be there. Now you're gonna receive it, and what you need to do while it's downloading, obviously while it's uploading, what I need to do indeed is to show to you how to do it. There are two ways to do it. You might close this this one at the moment, which is there. Windows 10 is open. It's fine. There is no problem for that. If I'm gonna send you some other after this, it's fine. So what will happen here now is, if I would like, I could right click and say open, or open with. Open, it will ask you, because I don't have anything installed, it will say, do you want to start it with VirtualBox? Yes. If you have other virtualization software as VMware Player or Workstation, well, it will ask you, well, you need to choose the VirtualBox. And then again, you might change some stuff, but better leave it for afterwards. You say finish, and it will be imported inside. No problem with this. So when you say finish, it will be imported inside again. Here it is. It's importing, and now it will appear somewhere within my infrastructure. Here it is, pfSense 1, because I already have one. Obviously, it will be there. Now, just to show you a little bit of more trick, I'm gonna show you how to delete something here. So pfSense 1 in that case, and I'm gonna open just to know, guys, here in the recycle bin, just to see it, right click, I'll say remove. There are two choices, delete all files and remove only. If I say remove only, it will be removed only from the VirtualBox manager or the hypervisor. But if I want to remove it physically, well, I could say delete all files. So when I say delete all files, watching what's going on in my recycle bin, nothing. So I mean, be careful what you do here, because there is no turning back of that. If you would like to delete, actually it's much easier and much more, you know, secure to go to users, go to your user here. Right in your user there is a VirtualBox VMS by default. You see all of these sources and so on and so forth. They are organized by folders, kind of. And if you would like to delete something, let's say this Windows 10 clone, let's say if I would like to delete, well, come here and delete everything what you would like to delete. When you delete like that, it will appear in the recycle bin, right? And afterwards, actually, if you really don't need it anymore, you could empty the and then you could come here and right click and say remove, and in that case you might say, let's say, remove here, and then you could say remove only, so it will be removed here from your dashboard. That's the appropriate, that's the best way actually to delete stuff if you want to. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'll close that, and basically I'm done. Here it is, your OVA file is there. And you're gonna have, I'm gonna send now with Omnivox, I will send a link to it. I'll put it on YouTube, the video as well. And yeah, I will send either today later or tomorrow. I will send another one which will include some of the final, something related with the final practical, which actually I'm gonna use with it. And I'm gonna see you then. Thank you for your attention, and I'll